overview is the three main things are, you're gonna get the materials that you put into your soil pits at your site locations. You're going to collect data about how those materials have decomposed over the last couple of weeks. And then you're gonna start the process of creating a report that summarizes everything that you have done and everything that you've learned that relates to the decomposition study. And then we'll wrap that up on Monday next week, and I'll talk more about that when we get to that point. Briefly, we said this earlier, I think I talked to you about this on Monday, and then I wasn't here on Tuesday, but just as a reminder, next week is a very weird schedule because Tuesday there's no school. That makes Monday an odd day. It won't be an all day, it'll be a day just like today. And I'm not gonna be here, so there will be a sub, and Ms. Jackson will be here, and she'll be able to stay and work with you on it. And then, so just like have that in the back of your head. And then we're gonna have a test over soil on Thursday of next week. So what you'll be doing on Monday is spending about half an hour wrapping up the work that we start today, and then you will have the rest of the time in class to prepare a note sheet. And the note sheet you'll be able to use on the exam on Thursday. You'll be able to put really anything you want on there. And the goal is gonna be that everything that we have talked about and everything that we have done with soils can show up on the exam. What I won't have you do on the exam is actually physically handle soil. So I won't be asking you, for example, to go through the flow chart with a physical specimen of soil, but I may give you a copy of the flow chart on the exam and then tell you, imagine you picked up a sample of soil and you did follow the instructions and it felt like this, and then you did something else and it felt like this, and then you added some water and you did this, and I might ask you to tell me from that soil flow chart what the name of that soil would be. Similarly, you will not have a jar of soil with layers in it to look at, but I might give you a picture of a jar, and I might say the first 11 millimeters are this, and then there's 21 millimeters of this, and then there's 5 millimeters of this, and you're going to need to use that along with the equations that you can put on your note sheet in order to calculate the percentage of sand, silt, and clay, and use that along with the soil texture triangle, which I would provide you on the exam in order to find the name of the soil. So there's gonna be a lot of applied stuff. And then there's also gonna be just information stuff, like I'll ask you about like what is soil texture? What does it tell you about soil? And I would expect that you'll be able to tell me that it tells us the percentage of sand and silt and clay, and that sand are big particles, silt is medium sized, and clay is really small particles. So everything we've talked about and everything we've done with soil is gonna show up on the exam. So making a note sheet is going to be, for most of you, making a note sheet is going to be really valuable, okay? And you'll do that on Monday of next week. Okay, so any questions about logistics and announcements? Yeah?
Are you going to have us measure pH levels?
So there won't be any actual measurement of that, but I may, for example, say, suppose you dipped the pH stick in and it came out red, and then I'll give you a printout of something that shows the color, so you might have to identify it, the pH, and then from that I might ask you about nutrient availability. If I ask you those kinds of things, I'll provide you with the charts, so you don't have to memorize the chart or try to make a picture of it. I'll give you the soil texture triangle, I'll give you the flow chart, I would give you those nutrient charts and the pH tables and stuff. So you would have those resources, but you would then need to know how to use them to get the information. Other questions? Okay, so we've got 3 jobs today. Job 1, get your materials. Job 2, collect data. Job 3, start the final report. So we're going to tackle them one at a time. The first job is to get your materials, and what you're going to need to do, because all of you should have at least 3 different site locations. And those site locations should have had different properties depending on the question that you were asking. Like maybe you had one that was the driest and then kind of medium level and then very moist, or maybe it was depth. You had a shallow, a medium, and a deep, or maybe it was plants. Maybe you had one by blackberry and one by alder and one by some other plant. Because your sites should be different, when you collect your materials, you got to make sure that you have some idea of where you got them from. When you come back to the classroom with a container with your materials in it, you won't remember, oh, this was from the dry site and this was from the wet site. So before you go out, you're going to take containers, and what I would do is just take a little scrap of paper and write however you identified your site. So maybe it's like bridge site, and then put that in one of the containers, or site 2, put that in one of the containers, or high moisture, put that in one of the containers. And then you're going to go out, you'll take the shovels and you'll take your containers, and you're going to collect the materials that you buried. You may find that some of them are just gone. They may be completely gone. And if they're completely gone, then they're completely gone. There's nothing to collect. But most of you will find, since you were to bury 3 things, you should find that probably at least a couple of them are still going to sort of be there. So you'll get your materials. Just try to be careful, because if you put the shovel through them, then you can tear them apart or break them apart. And then fill your sites back up while you're out there. Cover them up with debris. Just try to make it look like there was never a hole there, basically, ideally. And then when you come back in, make sure that your feet are clean. They won't be dry, but don't come in here with mud all over your shoes. And if you look around, you'll see the floors are looking pretty good now, which means any mud that comes in here is going to be coming in from you also. Let's try to keep your feet as clean as possible. Once you come back in, just put your containers in the back and have a seat, and then I'll give you all instructions about what to do next when we get there. So this shouldn't take more than like 15 minutes or so. So let's say it's 1:55-ish right now. So give you a little bit of extra time for transit. So I want you back here with your materials like 2:15. So you may have to hustle a little bit, which is okay. We've got enough work to do that'll be worth your while. So get containers, label them, put scraps of paper in them, go get your materials, and head on back.